Dear learners, I hope all of you are fine. I'm also fine with the grace of Almighty Lord. Dear learners, I hope always you are following the rules of health and staying home in safe and sound. And always you are following our classes in YouTube, Facebook, and in our website. Dear learners, you know that we are always giving you class in website, Facebook, and in our YouTube. Dear learners, I hope always you are following and practicing the class in staying home. And you know that if you practice this class regularly, you can make a good result in your exam. And for these reasons, you should stay home and practice the lessons. And if you have any problem, please send us message. We will try to give you solutions. Dear learners, in the last sessions, I gave you a class on transformation of sentence, simple, complex, and compound. There are three parts of simple, complex, and compound. So I have given you some instructions how you can change them into simple to complex and complex to compound, and compound to complex and complex to simple. Dear learners, you know that there are two parts of the complex sentence. What is called dependent clause and another is independent clause. In simple sentence, you have a clause that is independent clause, and you may have phrase. And in compound sentence, there are two parts of the sentence. One is both of them are two independent clauses added with coordinative conjunctions. So I hope that you have practiced. I have already taught you six rules on simple, complex, and compound, and next two rules will be discussed in the next classes or sessions. Dear learners, today I am going to give you instructions how to make a question tag. You know that what is called question tag. Question text means that you will have a sentence and then you will make a tag questions. Then you will add a short question, is called tag questions. And sometimes at the time of this is specially used in dialogue, in direct narrations, and so writing in formal letter. Dear learners, you know that. And sometimes also we can make tag questions using the right. You are a student, right? You are a doctor, right? He's going to hospital, right? But it is not formal. And for these reasons, we can't use this always at the time of writing or change in tag questions in a formal way or in an exam. So always you should bear in mind that you at the time of writing dialogue, later you can use this. You are my friend, right? You are Rina, right? But at the times of in your exams, you can't write it. So let's learn what are the rules of tag questions. To be attentive and listen my class properly. Okay, bye. Dear learners, at the time of making the tag questions, you will have to use do, does, or did. If in the sentence there is no auxiliary verb or be verbs, dear learners, you will have to use do, does, or did according to tense and subject. If in the sentence there is no auxiliary verb or be verb, dear learners, look at the board and you try to practice it. Dear learners, in the sentence, in the first sentence, you can see that she makes tea. And there is no auxiliary verb, and this is present indefinite tense. And in the second sentence, you can see that they play chess. This is present indefinite tense, and we heard the news. Here also the past indefinite tense. Dear learners, you can see here that this is the subject is she, and there is makes, and the subject is they, and there is play, and there is subject is we. So there is news. At the times of changing the tag questions or making tag questions, you will have to use here. You will have to write here underline and interrogative sign. And at first you will have to write the subject. There is she, so you write in she. But always you will have to write this in a small letter. And then there is yes, so you will have to write here does. And the subject is she. There is no negative word, so you will have to use here not in short forms. always you have to write in short forms in tag questions. You can write the small form in a long form in tag questions. Always you will have to write in short forms, dear learners, and then you will have to use their they is the subject. So I have used your they, and there is play is the verb. So you can write here do because this is present tense, and there is no negative word, so you will have to write here not in short forms. So they play chess, don't they? She makes tea, doesn't she? And we heard the news, so we is the subject here. So you will write here we, and according to you will have to write this is the past indefinite tense. So you will have to write here did because there is no be verbs or auxiliary verbs. You can see on the board that as there is no be verbs and auxiliary verbs, I have used here does, do, and did. And as there is no negative word, so you will have to write also here not in short forms. Dear learners, always you will have to bear in mind that if you don't have any negative words, you will have to use here not in the question tag, and there is negative words, so you can omit this. I'm going to give you more example to make it clear to you. So look at the board very carefully. Dear learners, here you can see three sentences. She doesn't help me is the first sentence. She doesn't help me. We never went there, and Tanya has little knowledge. Dear learners, you can see that there are negative words. The first negative word is the not, and second sentence there is negative word is never, and in the third sentence the negative word is little. So if you have a negative word in the main sentence, so you will not use not in tag questions. Dear learners, you try to practice it, and I'm going to make you help you. Yes, there is the subject is she, so you'll have to write here she. Then there is does, so you'll have to write here does. As there is negative word, so you will not use here negative words, not. So the she doesn't help me will be doesn't, does she? She doesn't help me, does she? We never went there. So subject will be we, then the auxiliary verb will be before this did. As there is negative word, so I won't use here not. So we never went there, did we? We never went there, did we? Tanya has little knowledge. Tanya is the subject, so you will have to write here she, and there is has, so you can write here has. Or sometimes you can write also here does, as it is present. So Tanya has little knowledge, does she? Tanya has little knowledge, has she? Has she is American English, and does she is British English. So the British use does she, and America use has she. So dear learners, I hope you have completed it. I'm going to repeat it. She makes tea, doesn't she? They play says, don't they? We heard the news, didn't we? She doesn't help me, does she? We never went there, did we? Tanya has a little knowledge, does she or has she? Dear learners, you can see that I have underlined here. So you will have to also use underline. Then you will have to use interrogative sign at the ending of the sentence. And you must put here comma before the question tag or tag questions. Always you will have to bear this in your mind if you want to get the total whole marks in the tag questions. So let's go to the next sections and we try to practice the other. Dear learners, to make tag questions, always you will have to understand or find out the subject, verbs, and if there is any negative or words, or affirmative. So always you will have to find this. If you have negative words, don't use negative in tag questions. If there is affirmative sentence, so use negative word in tag questions. At first, you will have to identify the subjects. And according to subjects, you will have to use the auxiliary verbs in tag questions. So always you will have to at first find the subject. Then you try to identify the verb. And then you go to if it is negative or affirmative. And if you're able to bear this in your mind, it will be easy for you to complete the tag questions. Dear learners, you look at the board. I'm going to make you understand it. Dear learners, on the board you can see here that the 6 sentences. We will help them. None of them cut their nails. And everyone read the book. Number 4, mice never disturb me. We must complete our lesson. She ought to follow her parents. Dear learners, in the 6th sentence, I have used a different subject and different auxiliary verbs. And somewhere I have used your negative verbs. So let's practice this. And if you have, as there is the subject is, at first you will have to find the subject we. So we will have to use your we. And then you go to the verb, there is will. And there is no negative word, so you will have to write here. There is no negative word, so you will have to write the short forms owned. Will not means owned. Will plus not. Will plus not. Will owned. So you will have to use your owned. And none of them cut. None of them is a also negative sentence. So you will have to use your they. And this is the past indefinite tense because there is no s or yes. So this is the past indefinite tense. So you will, if there is no auxiliary verbs and it is past indefinite tense, so you will have to use your did. I will not use not because there is negative word none. And everyone is indicates they. It is each indicate individually, but at the time of writing in the tag questions, you will have to write all together they. And there is no s or yes, so it indicates as it is third indicates the third person singular number individually. If this is present tense, then there would be s or yes. As there is no s or yes, so you will have to understand that this is in past tense, so you will have to use your did. The mice never disturbed me. So the mice is a plural number, and most of the students make mistakes here. Mice is plural, so you will have to use here they. And there is never is a negative word, so I won't use here not. And disturb is in the past indefinite sense, so did they. We must complete our lesson. We is the subject, so at first you have to find your subject we, and there is the auxiliary verb is must, so you will have to use your must. There is no negative word, so you will have to use your mustn't. So mustn't we. She ought to follow her parents. She is the subject here, so you will have to write your she. And there is ought to is the auxiliary verb, so you will have to write ought. There is no negative word, so you will have to use here not in short forms. Dear learners, I hope you have understood that in the first sentence you can see that we will help them. We will help them. Won't we? Because there is no negative word. None of them cut their nails. Did they? Everyone read the book. So I have used here did they. If there is everyone reads the book, so you will have to hear don't they. The mice never disturbed me. So this is the past indefinite tense and subject is they. So did they? That there is negative word is never. We must complete our lesson. Mustn't we? We ought to follow her. She ought to follow her parents. Oughtn't she? Dear learners, I hope you have understood. Now I am going to make you understand about the imperative sentence. At the times of changing imperative sentence, you will have to use won't you. Most of the times you will have to use won't you.